Story 1. I have major issues. People complicate things and exhaust me. Story 2. After being cheated on in every relationship I have had, it is hard to justify the rat race. I am tired, boss. Story 3. I would rather be on my own than spend a lifetime with the wrong person. That does not mean I have lost hope. The right person is out there somewhere, waiting for me. I complete myself anyway, so I am still happy. Story 4. It's simple. Relationships are complicated. Story 5. I want to be stable financially and emotionally before being with someone. I don't like holding people back or burdening them. Once I feel stable enough, I will be ready. Story 6. I am not relationship material and I do not want to be. I enjoy working hard, coming home, relaxing with dinner and some gaming and television, and then heading to bed. I do not like having my peace disturbed. Story 7. My last relationship was dog's hit. I am just living my best life until I find someone who is opposed to that. If I die first, I did not spend my life surrounded by it. Story 8. Once you learn to be content being alone, it becomes almost impossible to make room in your life for someone. You can make room, but it is rarely worth the effort. Real love happens 2 or 3 times at most if you are lucky. Unless you meet that person during one of those rare chances, it is usually not worth it. Story 9. I have major issues. People complicate things and exhaust me. Story 10. I really like my alone time. I would rather not give it up unless I meet someone very special. Story 11. Dating apps are dehumanizing. Trying to meet women in the wild is expensive and exhausting. I feel like I am competing with 10,000 men for a handful of women who would be willing to date someone like me, and they have more drive and energy for it than I do. My tolerance for certain relationship dynamics has declined over the years. Additionally, I have become comfortable being single. Story 12. I am not financially stable enough yet to support someone else if I were to start dating. Story 13. I am scared of the work and possible failure that can come with relationships. I also do not know how to stop being single. Story 14. I love living alone. Additionally, I tend to lose who I am when I am in a relationship. It becomes all about that other person. Story 15. Mostly because no one wants me, and depression leads to its own set of issues. Story 16. I have anxiety and low self-esteem. I have never tried dating, and I am 36 years old. Story 17. My people picker is broken. I was choosing men with the same kind of dynamic I had with my ex. Now I'm spending time figuring myself out. I've been single for years now. Apparently I'm complicated. Story 18. Dating has been ruined by dating apps and hookup culture. It is incredibly depressing to spend a lot of time on a dating app as a man and only get 1 or 2 matches every few weeks that do not even respond, while others receive hundreds of messages a day. After my last long-term relationship ended, I want to make sure the next one is the one and that it will not be found by swiping online. Unfortunately, meeting people outside of apps now feels almost impossible. Story 19. It's not by choice. I am immensely lonely and terrified I will spend the rest of my life alone. I only want to share small moments with another person, but when I look, there is no one there. No one wants a 33-year-old single mom when there are hundreds of other options with less baggage at their fingertips. Story 20. Life is easy and peaceful. There is no risk of losing half of my finances and resources in a divorce. I can do whatever I want and do not have to answer to anyone. My money and my time are my own. Story 21. I have difficulty committing to relationships. I have never cheated, but I become very sad in relationships, which is a problem. I quickly assume that my partner does not want me around and have similar negative thoughts. Until I figure myself out properly, I will stay single. Story 22. I will not lower my standards. I want a partner who can support me and whom I can support, not someone who is a burden or only receives. I am not interested in wasting my time. I prefer meeting friends and trying new hobbies rather than dating, since people often have commitment issues. Few people stay and put in the work, so I prefer to enjoy good company instead of being frustrated by dating, lack of effort, or poor communication that disturbs my peace. I am very independent and need a lot of space. I expect a lot from my partner and from myself. I want to be the best version of myself and expect the same from him. If someone is willing to put in the work and be as active as I am open to a relationship, but until then I will do what I want and enjoy my life. Story 23. The alternative is being in a relationship which is not passing the pros and cons list right now. Story 24. No one ever wants anything from me except sex, and I am tired of being treated that way. Story 25. I am an unattractive man. This has nothing to do with how I look. As I have aged and gained weight, I have had a slightly better response from women. I have a deep level of insecurity, self-hate, and lack of confidence. This comes from internalizing decades of insults and hate others have given me. So much of it has come to define my worldview that gaining any kind of courage is not on the table anymore. It is also self-perpetuation because I am stupid enough to be open about it, inviting more hate. Dating a woman who actually likes me feels impossible, like trying to ride a pterodactyl. It would be wonderful, but it does not seem possible. My saving grace is that I make an above-average income because I am a senior artificial intelligence developer. I can use my wealth to have some of my needs met, but it is never enough and is incomparable to being in a genuine relationship. Story 26. It is not worth compromising your mental peace for status, financial security, or to avoid being alone. No one should be pressured into a relationship because some people wrongly believe you will not die alone if you have a partner. Story 27. Because dating has become so strange. I have tried for years, but for some reason women tend to be annoyed or creeped out just by me saying hello. Story 28. I don't want to be single, but today's dating culture has forced me to be. As a woman, men have shown me over and over why it is better to live in peace. I have gone on so many dates this year and it is always the same. Men only wanting sex, not wanting to commit, love bombing, slow ghosting, and so on. The last guy I dated did it for me. He love bombed me hard and for 3 months led me on. After that, he hit me with, I don't feel a connection. Mind you, he called and texted me several times throughout the day, and every day we went on several dates, had sleepovers, and he said he was pursuing me for a long-term relationship. I lost trust in men overall after that, and now I'm at peace and focusing on my fitness goals. These holidays will be the most peaceful I have had in a long time. Story 29. I had a girlfriend, but she left me. Since then, I do not want to be with anyone. Story 30. Many people cheat, and I do not want that to happen to me. Story 31. Less drama, more freedom, and I get the whole bed to myself. Story 32. I don't like how gay dating is now. I do not want to have to spread my cheeks and take a selfie of my hole to show a man with no face picture on Grindr, so he will even consider meeting me in person to talk. All the gay bars and similar venues in my town died because gay dating moved to dating apps. I think I will date again. I have met people in the wild and gone on dates. If it happens, it will happen. I have had wonderful and not so wonderful relationships. Right now, I do not feel like I am missing out. I can be single for a few years. Story 33. I prefer being alone and do not like having another person take up my personal space and time. Story 34. I work nights and sleep all day. I don't go out on my days off. I watch anime in my spare time. Story 35. I do not want to compromise my life for someone who is likely to leave. Story 36. I never had much desire for relationships. I also do not really like most people. Story 37. Looks around and points at other people. I mean, have you met people? Story 38. I need to move slowly as a solo mom. Most people seem to want the relationship without the preamble. There have been many false starts. Story 39. I have not met anyone I am interested in. I am pretty certain I am asexual and aromantic. I tried dating a few times and hated every second of it. I have a quiet, peaceful life where I do what I want, when I want. I have never felt the loneliness others describe when they are single. Why change a good thing? Story 40. I am still hung up on my ex-wife. It has been 10 years. I am turning 50 and losing my hearing, which has affected my self-confidence. I dated a few women after my divorce. There was one potential partner, but I could not find that love connection. I enjoy doing things spontaneously without having to worry about someone else's concerns. I went on vacation with friends. Story 41. I have a 5-year-old child. I have no energy for dating, let alone committing to another relationship. Some of men's societal views toward single mothers are a huge deterrent. I choose peace for my child and me. Story 42. I make excuses. That women probably do not like being approached by men all day asking them out, that she is too young, that she probably does not like me, that I do not have enough stability to provide happiness, or that I am better alone. The last one has been coming true after a decade alone. Every now and then I feel awful about not having a woman by my side. I try to control myself, but I end up making impulse purchases to satisfy my physical needs. I need to find a woman like me. Will that happen? If I keep not trying, probably not. Story 43. Work is taking priority in my work-life balance at the moment, and I am not very interested in dating. Story 44. I realized aromantic was a thing and suddenly the world made sense to me. Story 45. I have issues that are not easy for a potential partner to deal with. Story 46. Still healing from my previous relationship. I want to make sure I am emotionally stable before entering another relationship. I do not want to be emotionally dependent on my partner. I am also in a period of finding myself and clarifying what I want for my own life, not just for a future partner. I enjoy my peace and freedom right now. I can do whatever I want. Story 47. Less drama, more snacks, and no one judging me for watching bad television at 2 in the morning. Pure, undisturbed freedom. Story 48. People require a lot of time that I could use for things that engage me more than being in a relationship does. Story 49. I experience bad luck and social anxiety, and I find it hard to care for people. Story 50. After my last relationship ended, I decided to take some time to be alone. It has been 2 years. I do not see myself entering the dating pool anytime soon, as I have been enjoying doing what I want, when I want. Story 51. As I have gotten older, I have streamlined everything. The pros of relationships do not outweigh the cons for me. Story 52. I work, eat, sleep, and barely have time to play video games on my day off. Life is like that. Story 53. After my 9-to-5 job, I want to do whatever I want without compromise. Story 54. As someone who really does not drink, I do not know where to meet people anymore unless I want to go to bars full of trolls. Dating apps are a nightmare. After dodging scams, I might get one match a month, and responses are rare. Conversations rarely last more than a week or two before I am ghosted. Trying to set up a date sooner makes me seem pushy, and many dates never lead to a second one. It is incredibly frustrating. It feels like an exercise in futility, costs too much money, and leaves me sadder and more miserable than before. If I stay single, I might be sad and lonely, but at least I will not feel like I am setting my money on fire. Story 55. The last time I got hurt, it broke me. I am not going to put myself through that again. Story 56. Because I've learned to love myself and that's okay with me. Story 57. My social circle isn't big enough, so I didn't have a choice. That doesn't make things any easier with my anxiety. Story 58. I'm in a loving, happy relationship now. When I was single, I remained so because it fueled my drive. I was productive and responsible for my own happiness, health, and well-being. I learned to love my own company. Being single was essential to learning how to be a real person. Story 59. A couple of reasons. My first long relationship ended terribly when she cheated on me. I no longer trust people to be faithful in relationships, and that is entirely my problem. I can never fully believe someone and I will always worry, which is not fair to another person. I really enjoyed the time I got back after I broke up with her. I had stopped many of my hobbies and was able to enjoy them again. Story 60. My ex-wife cheated on me, and 1/3 or more of my friends' marriages ended in divorce because of infidelity. Ask people in their 40s and 50s about being cheated on, and they will have more than 1 or 2 stories. Even married couples struggle to get over it. Monogamy is overrated. Story 61. It is cheaper and I have the freedom to do what I want at the exact moment I want. For example, I just drove to Montana for a few days because I wanted to go quad riding. I am thinking of going to Arizona for a couple of weeks, and I have no one to tell me otherwise. Story 62. The reality is that many long-term single people are dealing with trauma and a lack of positive outcomes in the dating landscape. Being single is often less painful than dealing with the soul-sucking rejection and lack of reciprocation that characterize dating in the modern world. Many people are opting out. In another 10 years, half the population may have opted out completely as a new generation comes of age during the hookup, influencer, and dechibro culture. Everyone has completely unrealistic expectations about who they are compatible with relationship-wise. People chase looks, money, or status. They choose chaos over stability. Weddings have become Instagram princess parties, with many women caring more about photos than the person they are marrying. Men often propose because they fear having to start over. Very few people marry for the right reasons anymore. If you stay single long enough, you begin to recognize that you are simply not compatible with the vast majority of people. So you resign yourself to staying single and making the most of it. Story 63. Because I am so ugly that girls cross the street when they see me. Story 64. I am difficult to live with. I don't want to change, so I stay alone. The simple. Story 65. Low self-esteem from being chronically underemployed, body image issues, no matches on dating apps, and people with similar interests in real life who do not reciprocate. Not fun. Story 66. I do not want it anymore. I know I am a great guy, but dating, especially now, is not for me. I can buy what I want and do not have to argue about my poor financial decisions. Story 67. I am choosing to stay single until I process my trauma from losing my little brother and from recently getting out of an extremely emotionally and mentally abusive relationship. I have spent nearly my entire 20s with men who had addiction problems. I tried to encourage them to get better, and I was left broken down. I want to love myself enough to know I deserve better, and eventually I will attract the right person for me. Story 68. I don't want the extra hassle of a relationship. I already have enough drama in my life with my friends. Story 69. I was single once. The freedom was the most addictive part. Getting to do what, how, when, and with whomever I wanted was amazing. Disclaimer. Being in a committed, fulfilling relationship is worth trading that freedom for the right person, of course. Story 70. I'm tired. People are tiresome. I barely have enough energy for myself. I do not want more people in my life to require my energy. No thanks. Story 71. I am too lazy to deal with the socialization effort required for this. Story 72. My financial clock isn't ticking to be able to accommodate another voter in my life. Story 73. I still have obligations to my family and cannot find the right man who will pursue me despite this situation. Story 74. I was cheated on by my first boyfriend. My relationship history has shown that I can't trust anyone anymore. Even perfect men who treat me incredibly well. Story 75. Honestly, when I was 19, I was so desperate for a relationship that I rushed into marriage with my ex-wife, and we were single again by the time I was 22. I am 44, and although I have had a few dates, I have never felt a strong desire to put myself back into the dating world. Story 76. I can only see myself dating someone I first became close friends with and whom I have enjoyed being around for many years. People I become close friends with often do not want a romantic relationship. They put me in the friend category and prefer the comfort and trust of friendship without complications. Story 77. After being cheated on in an 8-year relationship, I decided to go into my hoe phase. I did this for about 3 years, and being a disc jockey probably made it worse. Women would throw themselves at me just for that. I did not even have to try. During this time, I found that many of them were cheaters, did not care, acted innocent, and would accuse their partners of cheating when they were projecting. My excuse was that I was single, so technically I did no wrong and I was always honest. Most of the time, I learned after the fact. Eventually, I grew tired of it, and now I do not even try. The majority of the people I know in relationships are cheating. Maybe it does not help that I am in a club or bar every weekend, so I see it with my own eyes more than most, but no one seems loyal anymore. Story 78. My life is peaceful, and I am not prepared to give anyone the power to hurt me emotionally again. I can nap whenever I want without being yelled at or punched. Story 79. My last two relationships were so goddamn toxic that hanging out with my cat is better. Story 80. It is not by choice. I have been friend-zoned for life. I am not that interesting, I guess. Story 81. I was single my entire life until this year. I am 24, and that is not old, but it is old enough for people to question my choices. I honestly spent a lot of my time focused on my work and my studies. I am now in a Doctor of Philosophy program and want academia to be my career, so the little free time I had outside of work I spent building and maintaining my friendships. I now have a large, wonderful community because of that, and I value them more than anything. It would not have been fair for me to be in a relationship because I would never have been able to give someone else the care and time that they deserve. Story 82. I don't know. I'm open to being with someone, but I'm not out there looking for it. Story 83. I lack the resources to enter the dating scene. I have no money. I have a job interview next week. I do not have an apartment or a house. I do not have a car, though I have my driver's license. I am overweight. I am trying to improve myself because I feel unattractive, and love alone is not enough for a relationship. When I dated, it was not fun. It felt like a job interview. Story 84. I would like to be in a relationship, but I do not think it is worth the pain. Strangely, most women 10 or more years older than me consider me attractive and a good partner, while women my age are not very interested. Perhaps this reflects the difference between what people want from a partner in a relationship and what they look for when dating. I am also short, which is a deal breaker for many women. Story 85. Between problems at school and with my family, I do not think I need to deal with any more. Laughing out loud. Story 86. I am too afraid of people and my own behavior, and too traumatized to hold space for someone else right now. It is very hard to work on myself alone, though. Story 87. I tried being married, but it did not suit me and it made my life difficult for a few years. Now, influenced by social messages suggesting casual relationships are empowering, I do not feel I have to settle down. I can cook, clean, and do my laundry without criticism. I can stop at the pub on my way home from work without drama. I can empty the bin when I think it is full. I can watch whatever I like on television and read the newspaper without interruption. I do not have to try to explain that it is possible to have quiet, aimless thinking. I can handle household tasks and decisions independently, and I want to protect what I have worked for. If I want companionship, I will get a dog that will be faithful and loyal. Story 88. Right now I feel happy and not pressured to have sex all the time. I want to keep my peace and avoid more drama. Story 89. I think on some level I just do not believe it will work out. Story 90. I do not have many options. The idea of sitting at a bar looking for women who might be single or in my age range does not appeal to me. Dating apps can only help so much. If I do not find anyone, I am content to be at peace. Having someone to enrich my life while I enrich theirs would be nice, but it seems that I am not good enough. Story 91. I am waiting for someone to come up to me, kneel down, and kiss my hand when I hold it out. Story 92. I loved someone so deeply once that risking having my life ripped away again is too much for me. I am alone and sometimes lonely, but I am alive. Story 93. After a messy 10-year period of neglecting myself, I ended up in a place, physically and mentally, that I am not proud of. At the moment, I am putting all my efforts into becoming a better version of myself and discovering who that person is. I am in the most painful part of that journey, and I do not think it is fair to subject someone to that deeply. I would rather meet someone who likes me when I am further along. Story 94. People are not worth the effort anymore. They do not put in equal effort or emotional investment, and that is a turnoff for me. I also see many people who have not figured out what makes them happy. I do not want to be with someone only to start chasing materialistic goals or shiny things again. I like who I am today. I have found my peace. Story 95. Start pairing responses in the thread. Find a small-town girl and a city boy. Story 96. I could take care of myself. After leaving a 5-year relationship, I finally learned to see my worth. Story 97. For now, I have chosen to heal a bit because of past experiences. It is also the women's choice. Laughing out loud. Story 98. I am tremendously ugly from head to toe, which keeps people from wanting to date me. At least I know the truth, so I am not as disappointed as I would be if I were deluded. I have an appearance fit for radio and nothing more. I have accepted that I have every bad gene possible and that I will never find anyone. Sometimes it feels hopeless. Story 99. I have mental health problems, so going to the supermarket at 7 a.m. with headphones on is exhausting and about as much social interaction as I can cope with. Story 100. I don't know how to socialize, and I'm not the kind of guy a woman would like. Story 101. Among many reasons are trust issues, emotional immaturity, and valuing personal freedom. Story 102. I end up picking the wrong women all the time. Story 103. I am still focusing on myself. I definitely feel lonely, but I am at an age when I should start looking for long-term relationships, and I want to be sure I am prepared. There are some kinks in my personality I need to work out, mainly related to self-confidence and self-worth. I am not confident, which could lead to a dependent relationship, and I do not want someone to feel they constantly have to reassure me that they like me. Story 104. I am single because I am still in love with my best friend. I will not enter another relationship for 3 reasons. First, I want to become a better person financially, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Second, I could not love anyone else. I would be constantly comparing them to my best friend, and that would not be fair. Third, I do not have the time or energy for someone else's problems. Story 105. Dating is hard. The answer is simple. Nobody wants commitment, including me. Story 106. A few factors have me staying single, at least for now. 1. I like having my own time and following my own routine without working around someone else's schedule. I can eat what I want, watch what I want, and decide how I spend my time without having to consider another person. 2. I am tired of dating apps, being ghosted, and getting excited about meeting someone I think is cool only for them to check out when I think I have found something meaningful. I am tired of never-ending disappointment. 3. I am trying to practice more self-love. In my last long-term relationship, I gave too much of myself to my partner and lost my sense of self. I want to give myself time to rediscover who I am. I have spent too many years basing my self-worth on how I can serve my partner. I do not want to rush into another relationship and end up doing the same thing. It is not that I do not want a relationship. I crave emotional and physical connection, and I do feel lonely, but I am not ready to open my life and heart to someone else. Story 107. I am aromantic and asexual, and I am not in the best mental state for another person to be with me. Story 108. I'm fat, bald, ugly, old, and annoying. There is not a large market of women interested in that. Story 109. I am not currently interested in having a romantic relationship. Story 110. Less drama. Early bedtime. A clear focus on the future. No mental breakdowns. No unnecessary fights. Peaceful life. Story 111. Well, you lose half the dating pool by being straight, then another half depending on whether you are a Democrat or a Republican. Story 112. I look like a troll. I am short, overweight, balding, and my penis is small. It kind of looks like a button in a fur coat. Not many people are interested, and I accept that, so I am single. Story 113. It is simple. No one I like likes me back, and the people who like me I do not like in that way. Story 114. Because I do not want someone taking possession of what I have worked hard for all my life. Story 115. My wife passed away, and I am still wondering if I am too old to try again. Story 116. My father was emotionally abusive and taught me that I am trash, which I internalized. I entered relationships anxious, needy, and begging. I picked people who treated me like trash because that felt familiar, and I essentially forced them to treat me badly by lacking self-respect and making myself an easy target. That is not to say I was not trying. I tried so hard. I did everything for them, put them first even above myself, and begged them to love me. Somewhere along the way I realized what I was doing and why it was not helping me. But that awareness does not always stop me from choosing the wrong people. It also does not prevent my attachment system from being triggered and spiraling. It is often easier to give up on the idea of love than to destroy myself searching for a needle in a haystack. Story 117. Nothing kills your dreams more than having a boyfriend or husband. If you are lucky, you find someone who is equally ambitious so you do not feel weighed down. Otherwise, it is a constant competition. Anyway, do not shrink yourself for others. Story 118. I've worked so hard for the stability, tranquility, and peace my home brings. Letting someone in to disturb that is unsettling. Right now, I have a foot in my dream job, so that is where my focus is. I prefer wrestling with occasional feelings of loneliness rather than using someone for temporary satisfaction. Casual is not a lifestyle I like. I will try most things once, but I have genuinely learned a lot more about what I do not want. I am still hopeful I will find someone who knows how to live their own life and can show me how to bring our lives together at the end of the day. For now, it is my choice. Story 119. I did not see a single example of a good relationship. I saw only nightmares. People who, for reasons I do not understand, live in the same house and pretend to be a family while hating each other. In my previous relationships, I was always told I was not good enough, or that I could not see what was wrong, and then they left. After a while, I saw that they were unhappy, every one of them. As the years passed, I have come to value my solitude. I am free from everything and everyone. I am happy. I do not need other people to make me happy. Story 120. My first girlfriend died. I lost myself because of it. I developed antisocial personality disorder as a result. I lacked emotions and had no desire to connect with anyone. I tried another serious relationship that lasted 2 years. I truly cared for her, but she cheated and left me. I had a flashback to before and closed myself off again. 2 years. Later I tried again. I liked a girl who was my friend's sister. Later I discovered she was unfaithful. I told her to drop dead and cut off communication. I had a few options afterward and decided not to pursue anything. I have my family, my house, a few friends, a new job, and a modified car, and I am going to live like this. My family lineage ends with me. If you are thinking about harming yourself or feel unsafe, please contact emergency services or go to the nearest emergency room now. If you are in the United States, call or text 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. If you are elsewhere, contact your local emergency number or a crisis hotline. Reach out to a trusted person and let them know how you are feeling. Story 121. I don't get out that often anymore, so it's really just a lack of trying. At least I hope it's just me. Story 122. I tell everyone it's because of time and money. But to be truthful, I live in a small countryside area of the United Kingdom, and although everyone is lovely and I've never had a bad experience, being transgender makes me very different from the rest. Since I came out 5 years ago, not a single person has been interested in me, except for a few lesbians who leave when I tell them I'm a transgender gay man. I remain single because nobody seems interested, and I'm not actively dating because it requires time, effort, money, and emotional energy. Story 123. Because I haven't yet met that girl with whom our souls would converge. Story 124. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. No wife, no strife. Story 125. The divorce rate is far too high and would be devastating for me to risk marriage. Story 126. Meeting new people and having fun on Reddit fits my schedule better because it is more flexible. Story 127. The dating scene in my current situation is non-existent. Story 128. I am tired, boss. To be honest, it is the toxic behavior and a lot of disappointment. Story 129. I do not have the energy since the divorce. I feel seriously disconnected from everything. Story 130. I'm staying single to focus on myself, work on personal growth, and enjoy my independence. This gives me the freedom to explore who I am without pressure. Story 131. I am always too much in both positive and negative ways, but it has never done me any good. Also, being overly independent and an overachiever scares many men these days. Story 132. I am bad at meeting people. I am 24 and my last girlfriend was almost a decade ago. I have seen most of my high school classmates get married and start having children. I want that more than anything, but dating apps have not been kind to me for various reasons, and the women at my university do not seem interested in me. This is difficult because I feel lonely and worry that I am missing my chance to build a genuine future with someone. Story 133. I prefer to live for myself. I am married and hate always having no time for myself and living only for other people. I hate being judged for my interests and hobbies. I am a gamer, and recently my wife criticized me for that. I cannot even spend my money the way I want. I often fantasize about how I would live if I were single, the things I would do and buy, and the peace I would enjoy. Story 134. I do not like dating. I have not really tried it, but I do not think I would like it. Story 135. I tend to be interested only in people who are as broken as I am. Story 136. I have never dated. I have just never been interested. It seems like a hassle nowadays, so I keep the stress out of my life by staying unattached. Story 137. I am tired of meeting women who pretend to be into me for a week, then either ghost me or say they just want to be friends and add, "But hey, you are a sweet guy and any woman would be lucky to have you." Story 138. I'm going to stay single for a while. I broke up about a month ago. I live in a small rural town where virtually everyone knows each other. We all have our differences, but we come together as a community when necessary. My heart can't handle the burden of putting all my effort into a relationship to make it work and satisfy someone. I set my own goals aside, opened my home, and covered bills I really didn't need to. In the end, it was not worth it. Going forward, my mind is in self-defense mode. I think many women may have varying malicious intent. They could ruin my life easily. It feels like the odds are stacked against me, and it seems they do not understand how much they can and have hurt a man. It's going to take a lot to break my walls down. I don't think I'll ever find true love in a world where cheating and keeping a backup partner are only a few taps away on a phone. Admittedly, I could do the same. I could be in someone else's bed the day after a breakup, but I choose not to because I respect myself. I have self-worth, and I care deeply about how I see myself and how my friends and family see me. Story 139. If I try dating while making this kind of money, I'll get laughed at. Story 140. My friends and family seem very confused that I never date anyone. I think I am pretty cute. I am gay, so they assume I have a lot of casual sex, but I do not. Something went wrong in my development, and I have a deep psychological need to wear diapers. I have had this urge for as long as I can remember. I think it stems from my father spanking my siblings and me as soon as we were out of diapers, and my little brother being born right when I was being toilet trained. Realizing I was no longer the baby and that misbehavior would be punished was deeply traumatizing, and my brain regressed. My parents found out when I began buying diapers as soon as I was old enough to go to the store. They were mortified and sent me to one therapist after another to try to cure me, but they kept finding diapers in my room. They were very hard on me. I do not think many people experienced the level of humiliation I felt as a teenager. I tried to purge this obsession, but that only made me miserable and depressed. Eventually, I decided to embrace it and found happiness. I could never introduce someone into my life who would make me feel bad about it. I refused to hide it to get close to someone only for them to find out and leave. I tell people on the first date, and usually I do not hear from them again. That is a relief. If they are put off by it, I do not want to date them. Story 141. I am a remote working gamer. The right woman just has not shown up in my room yet. Story 142. I make less than $27,000 a year. I might have just gotten sucked into the red pill, but I feel that no one would want to date me because of my low income. I'm not the worst looking guy, But many people do not want to be with someone who lives in poverty. So I am not even going to touch the dating game with a 100-foot pole. Story 143. I hate myself so much that I do not think anyone else could possibly care about me. Story 144. I am a bit insecure. I am 31, have a good job and a steady income, but I still live with my mother because it is almost impossible to buy a house on my own in the current market. I am a bit afraid people might think that is strange. I would rather get my life on track before committing to another person, knowing that if I met someone, buying a house would be a lot easier. Story 145. Because the men I meet or hear about are trash. I very rarely hear about a unicorn. Someday I may meet one. Story 146. Lack of interest on their part. They are the subset of humanity in which I would have any interest. Story 147. It is the same reason I don't speak to people or have any friends. I'm a sad, broken man. Story 148. I'm a nerd and I'm afraid of people. I'm also whiny, and the people around me can't stand me. Story 149. My current goal is to buy a house. I am working 70 to 80 hours every week. I only work, eat, and sleep. If I were in a relationship, my partner would not get what they deserve from me, and I do not want to put someone in that position. Once I have a house, I would like to share it with someone special. Story 150. It's hard to get into a relationship when you're not looking. Story 151. Because it is easier. Having a stable job, a wife, kids, a house, and a pet requires hard work and dedication. Story 152. I have too many other commitments to fit a relationship in right now. Story 153. There are a lot of people out there right now. I am not accepting anyone into my inner circle who is a complete drain on my capacity in any area. Physical, mental, emotional, financial, logistical, safety, or health. I am waiting until I find someone who will work as part of a team, not someone who will cast me aside if I am not the person they imagined. I also need someone who acknowledges my disability and limitations and treats me like a human being they enjoy spending time with. I did not think this would be a high bar, but it is right now, so I wait. Story 154. I am a fat, sex-repulsed asexual. In previous relationships, I forced myself to have sex because it was expected. It always left me feeling violated and resentful of my partner, even when they had done nothing wrong. I hate sex. It is uncomfortable, painful, and gross. It also triggers me because my first sexual experience was not consensual. The fat part matters because many people, especially men, fetishize fat women. I am biromantic. It is hard to find someone who finds a fat woman attractive and who is also willing to not have sex in the relationship. I am not willing to compromise my comfort anymore. I am happier single than I ever was when I was with someone who pressured me or acted like I was broken. I am romantic but not sexual. Finding someone who wants a committed romantic relationship and is fine with kissing and cuddling but not sex is difficult. On my last date, he asked me to go upstairs. I reminded him that I am asexual and sex repulsed, and he laughed and said that was not real. Story 155. As a young man, I feel pretty worthless to women unless I'm perfect. At least that is how it feels. I'm a decently tall man, 6 feet 1, fit, 150 pounds. I have a good face and earn okay money. I'm a nice person and try to be good. I could date if I wanted, but it feels like a full-time job with nothing to show for it. I just want a long-term connection, but everything is about instant gratification and upgrading to the next best model. Nobody seems to view each other as people anymore. It's bleak, but I try to keep hope. Story 156. Every time a friend describes what it is like to be in a relationship, they talk so lovingly, but it sounds completely awful to me. I do not want someone living in my house or in my physical space. I do not want to be touched, and I only want to talk to people 2 to 3 hours a day. It is like listening to someone describe how amazing it is to stick their fingers into a belt sander. Story 157. It's fucking hard to find a woman I don't know in the world at large and make her swoon. I'm just a regular motherfucker of a man. Women have an insane number of options these days. The average woman can get laid much more easily than the average man. Story 158. The funny answer is, I stay single because my penis is barely big enough to satisfy me. I can't afford to disappoint someone I truly care about. But the truth is that my need for peace in life outweighs my desire for companionship, and I already have severe trust issues. Story 159. Everyone I have dated has not worked out. It was not all me. I am not saying I had no fault, but I know that each time I was willing to put in effort to make it work. Effort is just not enough. Story 160. I like myself and really do not need to be with someone. I am 41, and the dating scene is a horror movie. Story 161. I am 40. I have been in my current relationship for 16 months. Before that, I was single for over 5 years. My prior relationship lasted 2 years, and before that, I was single for almost 3 years. I do not regret a single day of my solo time. Being single is complete freedom. Having a good partner is far preferable to being in a bad relationship. A bad relationship is the worst situation possible. Bonus points if you can guess my sex without checking my profile. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.